In the end, these skins obtained from the slaughtered animals and tanned by hand will become everyday or ornamental objects in the hands of shoemakers, saddlers, and other leather craftsmen. Once the skins have been salted, Alfredo keeps them in piles until he decides to tan them. The soaking basin. He places them stretched so that they are in direct contact with running water. During a week of soaking in the basin, all the salt has been extracted. Cleaning the waste. Our friend the tanner cuts the waste from the skins. Alfredo throws the skins inside the barrel to proceed with the dehairing process. The mixture of lime and sulfur will exert an energetic action on the skin. It will swell it, dissolve the epidermis, the hair and the wool, and attack the horny matter. Alfredo incorporated the barrel into the traditional process a few years ago. He used to do it in wells called lime pits, where they had to be soaked for several days, stirring them continuously. Today, with the uniform turning of the barrel for 5 hours, the lime and sulfur act quickly because they keep all the calories in the airtight interior. Alfredo opens the barrel and the water washes away all the dirt, hairs, and wool that have come off. The skins have taken on the blue color of sulfur, and to wash them, the tanner passes them one by one through a bath of clear water. Now comes the moment of fleshing the skins. It gradually starts to erode. When it is good steel, it takes a long time to erode. If it's the steel of today, you sharpen it, and 2 days later, you've already eroded them. Alfredo throws the skins back into the barrel to give them all the preparation baths that are necessary before tanning. In the process of decaling, rendering, and pickling, not only are the absorbed chemical agents and remaining impurities removed, but the skins swell at the same time. After a week inside the barrel, the skins are duly prepared. That means cleaned, dilapidated, and swollen, and are ready to be turned into leather by the action of the tanning materials. Tanning process. Now it is time to tan them. What is used is the tannin, oak bark. Alfredo, the tanner, introduces the skins into the 2 mills since, depending on their size, they will have to be there for a certain period of time. If they are fat, 15 days, and if they are thin, in 6 days, the half. In summer, the skins need less time to tan than in winter. Our friend Alfredo works with skins of all kinds of animals, from the largest, such as cows or horses, to the smallest, such as snakes. Each mill holds about 200 medium-sized skins. To ensure that they are well tanned, they are soaked in the tannin solution for several days, depending on their size. During the tanning days, the mills are only operated for a few minutes so that all the skins receive the action of the tannin bath. When they are tanned, Alfredo takes the skins out of the mills and spreads them out on a bench. There, he will let them drain for a couple of days. Before proceeding with the leather preparation work, the skins are washed again in the mill under running water. Then Alfredo places them on a bench so that they are well stretched and drained. When the skins are already dry, the tanner makes the eyelets with the knife to hang them from the ceiling. Once tanned, the skins have different properties from the ones they had before and are called leathers. Alfredo then proceeds to smooth the skins, which consists in removing the vein, as tanners say. The skin is left stretched, well stretched. To do this, he passes the stretcher, which is an iron blade, through the surface of the skin that is still wet, which is the side that had the hair. When the skins are smooth, Alfredo takes them up to the dryer to hang them from the ceiling and remove the remaining moisture. The drying of the skins depends on the ambient temperature. Therefore, in the hot summer months, they need only a few hours, or at most 1 day, while in the winter, they take more than a week to remove all the moisture. When they are dry, our friend the tanner takes them down and places them on the table to remove all the hairs, even them out, and leave them well finished. One by one, he smooths the skins with the stretcher and goes over the whole contour of the skin with the knife. On the work table, Alfredo places several skins one on top of the other, with the surface facing upwards to grease them and give them color. In the sunflower oil, which the tanner needs to grease the leathers, he has mixed aniline of the color he wants to give the leather, usually yellow or orange. When the skins are greased, he leaves them lying on the floor for a day or two to absorb the oil and the color. To trim the leathers, Alfredo needs a sharp steel tool called stretcher for trimming. Before starting his work, he goes over the cut with the file. This trimming operation consists of scraping the skin on the flesh side to make it more flexible and thinner according to the customer's taste. To the extent that the consumer wants, the one who buys it. The most frequent, 2 millimeters to make shoes. After this, the next step is to soften it. When lowering the leather, the edges have been left with a little fuzz. It is necessary to cut them so that the piece is perfect. The next step is to cork it to soften the skin. This is called cork. It is a cork placed on a piece of wood. Alfredo performs the corking operation by folding the skin surface against surface, rubbing it over with the cork. In this way, the skin moves and rubs against itself, giving the surface a shiny and velvety appearance. Depending on the intended use of the leather, it will need a more elaborate finish. Alfredo removes the grain and polishes the surface with a marble stretcher. For shoes, for leather goods, for handicrafts, for everything. In general, it is used for everything. The tan skins are already ready for sale. Alfredo Sanchez's customers are generally leather craftsmen who are looking for a quality raw material that is completely handmade.